Hello, Jordan.
Hi.
Your client is in the waiting room. I was going to get situated here. Debbie and TJ have been going through some earlier cases. Is this the only one you have today?
Yep.
All right. Let me get squared away here. Okay, let's bring in Mr. Hernandez.
Oh, I'm on court.
Where are they taking him from?
Good afternoon, sir.
Hold on,
Can you hear me?
Hello?
Hello, this is Judge Middleton speaking. Are you Leonardo
Yes, yes, sir.
Duran Hernandez?
Yes, sir. I'm finna go to the other room real quick.
They're gonna find a way to go.
Making me dizzy. All right. Are you at work?
I'm at school.
Oh, okay. Where are you at school?
Sturgis.
Okay. Well, thanks for dialing in a timely manner. This is file 20661SM. It charges assault and battery. You and a couple of co-defendants were charged with assaulting Felix Rodriguez. This allegedly occurred in February of 2020, more than a year ago. They charged one defendant, Omar, and they dismissed the charges on him. I'm not completely clear why. And the other guy, Mr. Santana, has yet to be arrested a year later. So the only one charged here is you. Miss Deborah Davis is here from the prosecutor's office, and your lawyer, Jordan Yancey. Miss Davis, what's the status here?
Your Honor, the prosecuting attorney did email me, I believe it was earlier today or yesterday. There is no offer to plead down. It would be as charged. In talking to my client, it sounds like he's ready to resolve this today.
All right, Mr. Duran Hernandez, this is a misdemeanor called assault and battery, punishable by up to 90 days in jail and a fine of up to $500. Do you understand the charge?
Yes, I do.
Are you going to plead guilty to that charge, or do you wish to have a trial in the matter?
I'm going to plead guilty to the charge.
All right, well, let me ask you a couple questions. Other than what we said here, did anyone threaten you to try to get you to plead to this charge?
No.
Or promise you anything?
No.
Do you understand that if you plead to this charge, you'll be giving up the right to have a trial in front of a judge or jury? There would be no trial. Do you understand that?
Yes, I do.
If you had a trial, you'd have the right to be represented by an attorney. Jordan Yancey has been appointed to represent you. You could also hire an attorney of your own choosing if you wished. If you had a trial, you'd have a right to have any of the witnesses for or against you subpoenaed to come to court so they could be questioned under oath. And you would have the right to take the witness stand and testify on your own behalf. But you don't have to, because you have a right not to testify. And if you did not wish to testify, the judge or jury could not hold your silence against you. So, do you know this Felix Rodriguez Jr.?
Yeah, I grew up with him. He was my best friend at some point.
Well, that's too bad. What was this about?
Uh, I don't want to talk about it.
Well, did you hit him?
Well, if I'm pleading guilty, yeah, I did hit him once.
All right. Uh, did you know this Miss Mackey?
I don't even know who that is.
That was some girl that was with him. Are you a senior at Sturgis?
Yeah, but I go to an alternative school, which is where I'm at right now.
All right. Well, Debbie, do you want me to get some victim input here?
Well, Your Honor, we don't have a victim impact statement that was returned despite a letter being sent to Mr. Rodriguez back last year. We also, I did find a supplement that was listed under a witness statement that indicates that one of the co-defendants had an alibi where he was in Mexico at the time of this, so they believe it was a different Omar Hernandez that was involved, not the Omar Albor Hernandez or Hernandez Albor. So with this, I mean, he is young. I don't know if he would want to avail himself to some sort of a height of probation to potentially keep this assaultive charge off of his record. Doesn't look like he has anything on his record at this point. So I think we could go forward with sentencing today as far as victim input, since there is not a victim impact statement and no contact from him. But I would leave that to the court's discretion.
Well, HIDA stands for Home's Youthful Trainee Act. It's a kind of probation that if you successfully complete the probation, the charge would be taken off your record and made non-public, so you wouldn't have an assault and battery conviction following you around. Does that sound like something you'd be interested in?
Yeah, I've actually done probation before my freshman year, and I got off early for good behavior.
All right.
In the
Jordan,
juvenile court.
do you think that's appropriate?
I do, Your Honor. I was going to argue for a probation or fines. He did do 4 days in jail on this at the front end. And he did report to me a juvenile record, but other than that, he's in school. He's been in good contact with me. So I think he's already done a probation in the juvenile arena. So I think he could definitely do a probation now, especially with the benefit of HIDA.
All right, I'm going to do a very short probation, 6 months. 10 days jail, credit 4, leaving 6 days to serve. Of the 10 days ordered, 6 are deferred. You're not going to do any additional jail time if you do what I ask you to do. I'm going to make the fine 0. There's a $75 crime victims' rights fee and a $50 state minimum fee. Do you have a part-time job or anything?
No, but I can get one.
All right.
Some lady came into my classroom talking about construction if we needed a job to our classroom.
All right. Well, the attorney fee is $150 and there's $240 probation oversight fee. Theoretically, you could be off this probation in half of that time, but 75 plus 50 plus 240 plus 150 is $515.
515.
Well, I'm going to give you 6 months to pay it. More if needed. I want you to graduate from high school. No unexcused absence. No drugs and no alcohol. You're not old enough to smoke weed or drink. We'll do some random drug testing. No assaultive or threatening behavior. No contact with Felix Rodriguez. Was it about a girl?
No, that's why I'm saying I don't know who that was.
All right.
Was it? Did she give you the real name? Is it Dio? Is that her name? Dio McKay, something like that.
Yeah.
No, that was his girlfriend at that point. I don't think they're dating no more.
Does he have any other open cases? Jordan, his booking info actually shows he has 6 days served, but 2 of them were back in July of last year, and then 4 were February of this year for failure to appear.
Yeah, he failed to appear. He actually got 2. Yeah, he did. He had 6 days credit.
Because there's a domestic violence, a CCW, and an MDOP that are listed too. Is there some other?
Well, look, I didn't see anything when I checked, but again, I get trouble with.
It was listed as Duran Hernandez when he was booked in. Yeah, it looks like it's listed in our file as a bench warrant for a felony CCW.
Well, that's an issue.
I can't speak on that. That wasn't disclosed to me, so.
I have this case. Well, wait a minute. I don't even have this case.
What's his date of birth?
August 19th, 2002.
Yeah, the defendant date of birth matches. It's for an incident on 7/26/2020.
Duran Hernandez. What's the status of this? Court-appointed attorney, pre-exam conference, bond posted, sent to Attorney General's office. He has a felony pending under Duran Hernandez that didn't show up under my search under Hernandez Duran. You have a felony. Well, like in for a penny, in for a pound. This is a height of probation where you got a felony pending. In the classic case of the right hand not knowing what the left hand is doing.
It looks like Dave Marvin was his attorney of record.
Yeah, that's what it was. But they said I had to get it rescheduled because he changed positions or something, and that's when I called my warrant.
So when you got picked up in February of this year, it was on the
outside
warrant
my
for that?
house. Wait,
Okay.
February? I never got picked up February.
It says booking date February 5th, 2021 from Constantine PD.
Yeah, okay, yeah, you're right.
Okay.
Yeah, because I was outside my house.
Yeah, I didn't know about any of that was pending.
Well, like I said, we sometimes don't do a good job with Hernandez.
Does it show who his new attorney is?
It does not. The last notes that I have in our centralized case notes were that this is back in October, Dave was going to schedule it for a plea in district court because it was a 2-part misdemeanor MDOP and DV offer.
Mm-hmm.
But then I don't know what happened after that.
That's when I had to move out of my mom's house and I was homeless because I was supposed to have a no contact order with her.
Leonardo, don't say a whole lot more just because.
All right, well, we'll leave that one where it is, but I guess we're gonna do this hapless probation here. Try not to get in any more trouble
I won't
until we sort all this out, but you got another case pending. Then our problem is we can't keep straight.
I'll follow up with our office to see when it was sent to the AG's office and if they can get somebody on this sooner rather than later.
And I know that
Yeah,
when Dave went to the prosecutor's office, he did send out to the contract defenders his cases, so I'm not sure who took this case.
I got an email from David saying that somebody was finna take my case, but they never did.
Well, not only do we need another attorney, we need a special prosecutor, and that's where the holdup is. But this case is on its own merits. Now, Leonardo, is your phone number, are you still living at the trailer park in Constantine?
Yeah, I just moved back. I was living when all that stuff happened with the felony charge. I eventually started. I was with some roommates and I got my own apartment.
It looks like this was set for pre-exam conference with Lori Hines as your court-appointed attorney on February 16th.
Yeah, and it got.
So Lori
done.
Hines is your attorney that
That's
you
my
would need to
attorney.
contact. Yep, she's
Is
here
your
in
phone-
Centerville.
Okay.
Does your phone number still end at 5962?
That's actually my mom's. I have a free. I use my email more than a phone number because I don't have a phone like with service.
All right. Jordan, will you send me his email?
Yes, Your Honor. I'll send it to Miss Davis as well.
All right. Leonardo, you can go back to school. We got to sort this out.
Okay, thank you.
Please contact Ms. Hines, though. Jordan, can you send him her info?
Yep.
Thank you.
All right, thank you guys. Have a good day.
Yep,
Thank
you
you.
too.
Alright.
Take care.
The probation department's going to be contacting you.
Okay, that sounds good. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Well, that's embarrassing. I hate when that happens. I looked him up under Hernandez. There's nothing in there other than that.
Yeah.
Then under Duran Hernandez are those other things. And I don't know whether it's how the officer charges it or.
I don't know. The only way I found it was looking at web jamming with his booking to make sure we had his jail credit right. And then there was all this other stuff that.
All right, Miss Castleman?
I think that was it for me, Your Honor.
Sure you don't like to stay?
Stick around, Jordan. Come on.
I have a 3 o'clock upstairs. Sorry.
Oh, all right.
So does everybody else. All right, thank you for your help.
See you, Jordan.
Thank you. Have a great weekend.
Miss Castleman,
Yeah.
good afternoon.
Yeah.
You may have had some confusion. You had one case at 1:45, one case at 2, and I tried to call your number and nobody picked up the phone. I don't know if that number even works. The one that ends in 3333, is that valid?
Not anymore, no.
Where are you now?
I'm in my car.
Yeah, where's your car? Where?
It's at a friend's house. It's sitting at a friend's house.
All right, Mr. Reed, your lawyer was here, and he had to cover something else. He's coming back. You're sitting in the driver's seat of your car, and you have 2 driving suspended charges pending, which leads me to believe you're not taking things very seriously. So we need to wait for Mr. Reed to come back, join us. So I'll put you in the waiting room. Don't go away, okay?
Okay.
Another suspended driver driving to court. And you may remember, that used to happen all the time. Jordan sent me that email. Which is hard to, I'll just print it when I get out. And Casey's offer wasn't very generous on Castleman, so TJ's probably not likely to take it. But maybe it was generous. 1 DWS is dismissed. All right, we're back in hurry up and wait mode. We've got at 3 p.m. we've got Martin Montoya, and he needs a translator. So I believe that Vivian should be logging in here momentarily.
Chase Hardy, they're upstairs trying to do a comprehensive deal for all of his cases.
Okay,
It might be late logging in.
all right. I'm getting a little nervous. No one's here on Montoya. There's a notice in the file, but I hope it's not defective like the other one.
Oh, Alex Hill is on Montoya, so he's emailed me, so I expect he'll be here.
Yeah, things got a lot easier for him, that he doesn't have to drive out here from Detroit all the time. I told her to come back at 2:45, although TJ may not join us until, what time is he coming back?
I thought he said he was on the 3 o'clock hearing as well.
I'm concerned that I don't see Vivian, and she's usually right on the money. Here's Mr. Hill. Here's Mr. Montoya. And let's see who this is. I'm not sure who this is. Good afternoon, ma'am. What's your name?
Claria Vera Amores.
Which case are you here on?
Your Honor,
She's the complaining witness in this case. All right. Let me bring Mr. Montoya in. I don't see Vivian, our interpreter. I'm not sure if we dropped the ball on this.
I know that the defendant does speak some English, Your Honor. I think we can proceed.
Okay. Good afternoon, Mr. Hill.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
I know you wish you could have driven out here to be with us in person, but
I'm seriously looking forward to my next trip. It's been a while, and I've got some restaurants on the mind.
Wings from Yoder's?
he wants a
Yes.
Yoder's donut.
Exactly. I want to go to Yoder's pretty bad.
We haven't been there ourselves in a while. Good afternoon, Senor Montoya. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Gloria,
Good afternoon.
do you speak English?
No.
Little bit.
All right. Well,
I got my son here. We can help me.
all right. You're doing okay so far. I didn't summon the victim. I'm assuming you did, Mr. Hill. What's the status here?
Your Honor, this is a case that's been going on for some time. Defendant has sought treatment, but unfortunately it's been delayed. He's scheduled to start treatment not in early May. So at this time, we're asking to postpone the pretrial or the final pretrial, and also the victims here so that they can request that the no contact order be lifted. He's been abstaining from alcohol. It's a very serious charge. He understands that, and we've been in discussion with the prosecutor about this resolution.
What's the status of his immigration case?
That's
Has
why
Has this come to their attention?
no, Your Honor. Our hope is that it won't, and that's obviously a big concern about certain police.
Well, this is his second domestic violence. I had a case with him when I was here earlier where it had it deferred. He did treatment and had it deferred. And it was a bad case that was turned into, here's Vivian, turned into a misdemeanor. Then he had a drunk driving case. And here we are once again.
Alex, did he go submit to a drug and alcohol screen after our last pretrial like he was going to?
All right. Well, let's back up for a minute. Good afternoon, Vivian.
Good afternoon.
I was worried I hadn't seen you, and I didn't know whether we had given you notice of this or not, but we're
You
here
did.
now.
It took me just a minute to log in.
All right, well, let me call the case. This is People versus Martin Montoya.
Este es el Ministerio Público versus Martín Montoya.
Would you please raise your right hand? State your name, please.
Vivian Montero, Court Interpreter 18369.
You swear or affirm to the best of your ability you will interpret these matters from Spanish into English and English into Spanish.
I do.
Mr. Montoya is here. He has some English.
Okay. El señor Montoya está aquí, habla un poco de inglés.
And the complaining witness, Claudia Vera Amores, is also present.
También está la querellante, Claudia, I'm sorry, I didn't catch the last names.
Vera Amores.
Vera Amores está presente
And she does not have English.
y ella no habla inglés.
The defendant is charged with domestic violence second offense.
El acusado enfrenta el cargo de violencia intrafamiliar, segunda vez.
It is a misdemeanor punishable by up to a year in jail
Es un delito menor que conlleva una penalidad máxima hasta un año de cárcel
and a fine of up to $1,000.
y una multa hasta $1,000.
There may also be underlying immigration or residency issues.
También puede haber problemas secundarios de la situación migratoria.
As I understand it, the defendant is a lawful resident
Si entiendo correctamente, el acusado es
and
un
has
residente
been for some
permanente
years,
y ha sido por unos años,
but he's a citizen of Mexico.
pero el ciudadano de México.
All right, Mr. Hill started to set out the premises.
El licenciado empezó a establecer
I think Mr. Montoya understood it,
creo que el señor Montoya lo entendió,
but I don't think Claudia did.
pero no creo que Claudia lo entendía.
Mr. Hill, once again, would you tell me what it is you want me to do?
Licenciado Hill, ¿me puede decir nuevamente qué es lo que qué quiere que yo haga?
Yes, Your Honor. The date of this offense is December 1st, 2020. Defendant has resided with his brother.
Stop. You got to say it in small bites so she can interpret it.
Thank you. Este evento ocurrió el 1 de diciembre del 2020. Go ahead.
He's been residing at his brother's house on the couch.
El acusado se queda con su hermano en el sofá,
Abstaining from alcohol and otherwise abiding by all court conditions.
se abstiene del alcohol y sigue todos los términos y condiciones de la corte.
My understanding is the alleged victim,
Si entiendo correctamente, la supuesta víctima
who shares 3 children with the defendant,
que tiene 3 hijos con el acusado,
is requesting that the no contact order be lifted.
se solicita que la orden judicial de no tener contacto que sea suspendida
While the case continues to resolution.
mientras sigue en el proceso del caso hasta llegar a una resolución.
Ms. Davis, is there some sort of a resolution that we're shooting for?
Licenciada Davis, ¿hay alguna resolución?
The defense is asking for some sort of a resolution that won't guarantee that he will be deported.
La defensa está pidiendo alguna resolución que puede garantizar que él no sea deportado.
I have a lot of concerns about his behavior.
Tengo muchas inquietudes sobre la conducta de él.
Looking at his history, there are domestic charges in Illinois.
Mirando el historial, hay cargos de violencia intrafamiliar en Illinois.
It appears there's at least one that was a conviction.
Y parece que por lo menos había una condena en uno de ellos.
But it's not clear if they reduced it to an assault instead of a domestic.
Pero no queda claro si ellos reducieron el cargo.
In Illinois or here?
In Illinois.
En Illinois o acá, en Illinois.
So he would potentially be a third offense felony case.
Yes, Your Honor.
Posiblemente eso podría ser un delito tercera vez, que podría ser delito mayor, posiblemente. Sí, su señoría.
The Illinois cases are from the late 90s.
Los casos de Illinois son de los años 90, al finales de 90.
Then there was the case that he did a deferral in 2004 here.
Y hubo un caso deferido acá, 2004, acá.
He was much younger man then.
Era mucho más joven.
So was I.
Yo también.
And then the operating impaired in 2018.
Y
I
luego
think Mr. Hill handled that one.
manejar con las facultades disminuidas en 2018. Creo que el licenciado Hill estaba encargado de ese caso en ese entonces.
This is the classic dilemma
Ese es el dilema clásico
of what do you do with a defendant who has immigration issues
de qué se hace con un acusado que tiene problemas en su situación migratoria.
do they get a better advantage than a citizen because you're trying to avoid deportation?
Porque parece que quieren evitar la deportación.
And that is a struggle we've dealt with many times.
Es una lucha que hemos enfrentado muchas veces.
We received a letter from Mr. Hill's office
Recibimos una carta del despacho del licenciado Hill
that is reportedly authored by our complaining witness.
que fue que tiene como autora la querellante,
But it's typed out in English, and I know she doesn't speak it.
pero alguien lo pasó a máquina en inglés y yo sé que ella no habla inglés.
So I don't have a good handle on whether she wrote it on her own or if it was from someone else.
If I may,
Well,
Your Honor.
Well,
No
let's
Yo no sé
ask.
si ella, yo no sé si ella autorizó, ella escribió la carta o alguien lo escribió para ella. Vamos a preguntarle.
Senor Vera Amores, did you write a letter for Mr. Hill?
Señora Vera Amores, usted escribió una carta para el licenciado Hill.
And
Sí.
did someone translate it in English for you?
¿Y alguien lo tradujo al inglés para usted?
Sí.
How long have you been here in Michigan?
¿Cuánto tiempo lleva en Michigan?
En Michigan tengo más de 15 años.
Been in Michigan for more than 15 years.
And how long in the United States?
¿Y cuánto tiempo en los Estados Unidos?
19.
19.
I'm always dumbfounded that people can live a completely parallel life
No sé cómo las personas pueden vivir una vida completamente paralela.
live here for 20 years without picking up English language to just make life
Y vivir
easier.
aquí 20 años sin aprender algo de inglés para que la vida les sea más fácil.
Sí.
All right, so Ms. Davis, two things.
Licenciada Davis, dos cosas.
The request for an adjournment, although I'm not really sure why we're adjourning it,
La solicitud para una postergación, aunque realmente no sé por qué lo postergaríamos.
and the request to amend the bond to lift the no contact provision.
Y la petición para modificar la fianza, para quitar la orden de no tener contacto.
Debbie, would you wait just a moment? We have the alleged Victor Fitz with us here from Cass County, and we have a number of other people waiting.
Espérese un momentico. Tenemos otras personas del condado Cass y tenemos un señor de personas que están esperando.
I'm going to bring them in and explain what's going on.
Yo voy a traerlos aquí en la cámara y les voy a explicar lo que está pasando.
Hello. I've also got one phone number but I can't tell who that is. Last number 9608. Who's that person?
My name's Deontay Williams.
All right, Mr. Williams. At this point, we should be able to have a video, but I'm gonna give you a name. We are working on another case with the assistance of a translator.
Maybe I should try to call Mr. Williams while we have, well, if I have time to.
Yes, that's fine.
Because I wasn't
Mr.
able
Williams?
to reach him earlier. So.
All right. Do you have the number?
I have his number that he gave me before. Hopefully that.
Is that correct, Mr. Williams?
That's correct.
All right. Hang up. Your lawyer's going to call you on the phone.
Okay.
All right, Ms. Castleman, you've called in as I asked you to do, and you missed your hearing, but you're here now, and we'll deal with that in a minute. We're waiting for your lawyer to come back. So I'm going to put you back in the waiting room. I just didn't want you to think I'd forgotten you. Mr. Shull, good afternoon. We're going to deal with your hearing in a moment. Please take your hat off. We'll come back to you in a bit. And I'll put you in the waiting room. And Paul's going to call his lawyer by phone. Good afternoon, Victor. Thank you for helping us out. You can just watch us struggle with this hearing. Ms. Hines will be with you in a minute also.
Very
Okay.
good. Thank you, Judge.
I apologize for all that housekeeping, but we're talking about serious things. What do we do about his request to adjourn, and I'm not sure why, and what do we do about his request to lift the no contact provision of his bond? Ms. Davis, what's your position regarding the no contact provision? Let Vivian translate.
Bueno, licenciada, ¿qué es lo que iba a decir sobre la suspensión de no tener contacto?
Your Honor, I'm conflicted about it.
Señoría, siento que hay un conflicto sobre eso.
The parties have 3 minor children together, one being a 13-year-old son.
Las partes
Is that-
tienen 3 hijos en comunes.
Is that the boy in the picture?
Un hijo de 13 años. ¿Eso es el joven en la foto?
Kevin, is that you?
Yeah.
Es Kevin.
Kevin has been very helpful in translating with our victim advocate and his mother.
Kevin ha servido de mucha ayuda para interpretar entre la persona abogando para la mamá y la mamá.
Through him, she has expressed that her husband's main problem is severe alcoholism.
Ella ha expresado que el problema principal de su esposo es el alcoholismo grave de su esposo.
At the last pretrial we had in this case,
En la última preconsulta ante el juicio en este caso,
on 3/11,
el 11 de marzo,
I specifically asked if he would go submit to a drug and alcohol screen.
yo le pedí que se sometiera a una prueba al azar por drogas y alcohol.
And it was my understanding he was going to do that.
Y fue mi comprensión que lo iba a hacer.
I have yet to see any result of that.
No he visto ningún resultado de esa prueba.
And that is extremely important to me to know if he's still abusing alcohol.
Es sumamente importante para mí para saber si él sigue en el exceso o abusando alcohol.
Your Honor,
Go ahead.
I believe he did go to an alcohol test almost within the day or so. I spoke to him about that after the last hearing.
Él se sometió a una prueba dentro de 1 a 2 días después de la última audiencia. Yo hablé con él sobre eso.
And maybe he can confirm.
Tal vez podemos confirmarlo.
Did you go to the day reporting center in Three Rivers?
¿Usted se reportó al Day Reporting Center ahí en Tres Ríos?
Sí.
Yes.
On March 11th?
El 11 de marzo.
Your Honor, I believe it was a work conflict. Oh, no, it was March 11th? We might have gone a day later.
¿Fue el 11 de marzo?
Sí.
Yes.
His son shaking his head no. I think it was the next day, to be honest, but I'm not sure.
Su hijo está diciendo que no con la cabeza. Por ser sincero, creo que fue el día siguiente.
Sí, porque no me quisieron atender en ese día porque no necesitaban la orden del juez y no la tenían. Hasta el otro día me mandaron a la casa a la corte a que recogiera la orden.
So they didn't want to see me on that date because they didn't have the order. I had to go get the order the next day in order to do it, the order from the judge.
Do we have a result of that somewhere?
¿Tenemos los resultados en alguna parte de eso?
I don't have a copy, but my understanding was negative.
No tengo una copia, pero mi comprensión salió negativo.
And was it a PPT or a urine screen?
Or, how do you mean by PPT?
Breathalyzer?
Breath test.
Breathalyzer, thank you. Entonces, ¿fue una prueba al azar por aliento o por orina?
Me están haciendo tres por semana de orina al azar. Al azar ellos me llaman cuando quieran que yo vaya. Es de orina, todas.
Okay, so all the random tests are urine tests, and they have me do them 3 times a week.
So he's been testing 3 times a week?
¿Se ha sometido 3 veces a la semana?
Sí, desde entonces 3 veces a la semana me han hecho pruebas al azar. Me llaman, ven, y el día que sea, no hay un día.
Yeah, it's 3 times a week. There's not a fixed date. It's just, I call them, and if it's my turn to go, I have to go.
Ayer fui también, ayer.
I went yesterday as well.
Have any of them been positive?
¿Alguno ha salido positivo?
No creo porque yo no estoy tomando nada.
I don't think so, because I haven't drank anything.
Your Honor, are you able to check with Day Reporting Center on the testing record?
Señoría, ¿puede usted chequear con el Daily Reporting Center sobre el registro?
I'm attempting to.
Voy a intentar hacerlo.
All right, well, let's assume for the sake of argument that he's telling the truth. He sounds like he is. He understands the procedure, and what he tells me has a ring of truth. Well, disappoint me or anything from DRC.
Vamos a suponer que nos está diciendo la verdad. Estaba en la oficina y me parece, vamos a suponer que está diciendo la verdad.
I'm sorry, I thought he wanted to say something.
Perdón, ¿usted quería decir algo?
Ajá, puede llamar a Tres Ríos a preguntar. Yo no tengo ni una positiva, yo estoy 100% porque yo desde el accidente yo no he tomado nada, pero me están haciendo 3 tests por semana al azar.
Oh, you can check with the Day Reporting Center in Three Rivers. Not one of my tests have come out positive since the accident.
Okay. All right. We keep kicking this can down the road, which is problematic for 2 things.
Your Honor, the interpreter would have a difficult time interpreting.
Kick the can down the road. All right. We keep delaying this matter.
Thank you. Seguimos postergando y postergando este caso.
Without a clear goal in mind.
Sin una meta clara en mente.
We've now had a no contact order in effect.
Ya tenemos una orden de alejamiento vigente.
For about 5 months.
Como 5 meses.
Your Honor.
Yes.
The goal is to have this family safely together.
La meta, su señoría, es tener la familia unida, pero de manera segura.
The middle child has significant behavioral issues.
El segundo niño tiene problemas de conducta significativas.
And according to the mother, she responds best to her father.
Y según la mamá, ella responde mejor al papá.
If Mr. Montoya continues regular testing with negative results,
Si el señor Montoya sigue sometiéndose a las pruebas al azar y da negativo,
and there is no assaultive or threatening behavior,
y no hay una conducta agresiva, amenazadora,
and he does a treatment program for his alcoholism,
se somete a un problema de rehabilitación por el problema con alcoholismo,
we would be inclined to offer a simple assault, which I understand would not impair his being able to stay here.
podemos ofrecer agresión simple y que no va a afectar la posibilidad de que él se quede aquí.
That's why I wanted some alcohol testing now to see where we were at with his sobriety.
Por eso quería que se sometiera a las pruebas al azar por alcohol para ver dónde estamos en cuanto a la sobriedad
Before making that offer.
antes de ofrecerle eso.
With that, I would leave it to the court to decide on the bond condition.
Con eso dicho,
What's
le dejo
taken-
las manos de la corte para decidir sobre los términos y condiciones de la fianza.
What's taken so long to get any treatment set up?
¿Por qué se ha tardado tanto en programar esta rehabilitación?
Your Honor, it's not due to defendant.
No es debido al acusado.
We scheduled in early March an appointment with Wellness INX in Lansing.
Nosotros programamos muy temprano en el mes de marzo con Wellness INX en Lansing.
They offer Spanish translation.
Ofrece servicios en español.
They had very limited availability and scheduled us for this month, but they had to push it back to COVID situation with an employee.
Ellos tenían programado para este mes, pero tenían que postergarlo porque tenía una situación que uno de sus empleados dio positivo por COVID.
There's AA every day of the week in Sturgis.
Hay alcohólicos anónimos en Sturgis todos los días.
We would be glad to substitute AA for the alcohol program that he's scheduled for.
Con mucho gusto.
Well, I was thinking about a supplement.
El servicio de alcohólicos anónimos en lugar del programa en que estábamos pensando. Yo me refería a suplementar el programa con alcohólicos anónimos.
You don't just turn off alcoholism like a switch.
No se apaga el alcoholismo como si fuera un switch, un interruptor.
And at this point, he isn't doing anything other than holding his breath.
En este momento no está haciendo otra cosa que no es aguantar el aliento.
Your Honor, he does have 6 months sobriety, though.
Well, that's a good start, but that's what Judge Noacker used to call a dry drunk.
Él tiene 6 meses de estar sobrio, pero eso es lo que el juez Noack antes se refería a una persona ebria, pero ebria seca.
All right, we need to proceed. I've got 411 more people waiting for their cases, and we've gotten really backed up here. We've got 2 special prosecutors.
Estamos muy atrasados en los casos. Necesitamos proceder ahora.
3 other lawyers.
3 otros abogados
and a host of others waiting.
Y muchas otras personas esperando.
Miss, Vera Amores, what would you like me to do?
Señor Vera Amores, ¿qué quiere que yo haga?
Que o sea, lo que yo pido es que como tenemos una niña con HED, ella toma medicamentos y la verdad el único que puede controlar a mi niña es mi esposo, porque ella
All right,
quiere
slow
mucho
down,
a su
slow
papá.
down. She's got to interpret for me.
Well, first of all, since we have a daughter with ADHD who takes medications, he is the only one who can control her.
Okay. Do you want him to come home?
¿Usted quiere que él vaya a la casa, que regrese a la casa?
Yo quiero que él esté más que nada con la niña. La niña está muy apegada a él, que él siga sometiéndose a los testes, porque el problema de él es el alcohol. Él es muy buen papá con sus 3 niños, con los 3 niños. Cuando él no tiene el alcohol es un buen esposo.
We want him to be with his daughter. As long as he keeps submitting to the tests, he's a good father with his 3 children. As long as there's no alcohol present, he's a good father.
The report says he pulled a big chunk of your hair out.
El informe dice que arrancó un puño de cabello de la cabeza de usted, señora.
Sí.
Are you fearful for yourself if he comes back?
¿Usted le teme a él si él regrese a casa?
En la carta que pedí favor que me hicieran, ahí expliqué de que como él también tuvo un accidente en el 2018, él una pierna no la tiene bien y luego estaba demasiado alcoholizado, entonces cuando yo abrí la puerta para que él se fuera, sí, él se levantó, y sí me jaló el cabello, pero así
You can't talk in such big, you got to talk in smaller pieces.
According to the letter that I wrote, as I explained in there.
I have not seen the letter.
Yo no he visto la carta. After the accident in 2018, he has problems with one of his legs. When I asked him to leave, he got up and left.
Your Honor, if I may real quick.
Señoría, si puedo interrumpir un momento.
She expressed in the letter that he was drunk, he fell down, and he accidentally pulled out some hair. I don't believe she's afraid of him now, if she can confirm.
Stop. I don't want you to answer her questions. I want her to answer her questions.
Ella explicó en la carta que él se cayó y al caerse le agarró un puño de cabello de ella. Pare ahí. No quiero que usted conteste la pregunta para ella. Yo quiero que ella conteste las preguntas dirigidas a ella.
Are you afraid to have him come back into the home?
¿Usted teme a que él regrese a casa, señora?
Yo quiero que él regrese, pero que no tome, que él esté chequeado con el alcohol.
I want him to come home as long as he's being checked for alcohol.
Well, that still didn't answer my question.
Pero eso no contestó mi pregunta.
So I believe you are somewhat afraid, but you want him there for the sake of your family.
Y tal vez usted le teme un poco, pero usted quiere que él esté ahí, por razones de familia.
And I'm a bit skeptical.
Y estoy dudoso.
Of the version that he accidentally fell and chunked a big chunk of your hair out.
De la versión que él se cayó por accidente y agarró un puño de cabello de la cabeza de usted.
But it may be months before we resolve this.
Pero puede pasar meses antes de poder resolver esto.
And in addition to whatever we would do as a sentence,
y adicionalmente a lo que hacemos nosotros como imposición de la condena,
he has all the reason to comply.
Él tiene todas las razones para cumplir.
Because if he does not,
porque si no lo hace,
he will be deported to Mexico,
será deportado a México,
where he has not lived for more than 20 years,
donde no ha vivido por más de 20 años
and he won't be able to see his family at all.
y no podrá ver su familia para nada.
That is what Mr. Hill is trying to avoid.
Eso es lo que el licenciado Hill desea evitar.
So Martin should be motivated
Martín debe tener la motivación
to not get in any more trouble.
de no meterse en más problemas.
So I'm going to lift the no contact provision
Voy a suspender la provisión de no tener contacto.
All other provisions remain in effect.
Todas las otras provisiones siguen vigentes,
including no alcohol and testing.
inclusive que no puede tener alcohol y tiene que seguir sometiéndose a las pruebas.
I'm going to set this
Voy a fijar esto
for another last pretrial. I'm going to do it last. I'm not going to set it in the middle where it jams everyone else up.
Voy a hacerlo último, pero lo voy a programar para otra preconsulta ante el juicio.
For 3:45
A 3:45
on May 27th.
el 27 de mayo.
Does that work for you, Mr. Hill?
Yes, Your Honor.
¿Funciona para usted, licenciado Hill? Sí, su señoría.
I have not heard back from the Day Reporting Center,
No he sabido nada del Day Reporting Center
and I'm disappointed that I hadn't heard from them at all.
y me siento defraudado que no he sabido de ellos nada,
But I believe what the defendant told me.
pero creo lo que el demandado o el acusado me ha dicho.
All right. Anything further?
¿Algo más?
Your Honor, I would just ask that Day Reporting Center give us weekly or some sort of indication that he's passing so that if there is a failed or missed test, we're aware immediately.
Me gustaría que el Day Reporting Center nos diera informes semanales para confirmar que da negativo. Y así podemos saber si da positivo en algún momento o no se está sometiendo.
I will ask for it.
Yo lo voy a pedir.
All right. That's as far as we can go here today. The no contact provision will be lifted, hopefully by 5 o'clock.
Bueno,
I don't want any other trouble.
es todo lo que podemos hacer el día de hoy. Espero que la provisión de no contacto sea suspendida a partir de las 5 de la tarde. No podemos hacer más nada el día de hoy.
All right.
Thank you for your patience, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. You're free to go.
Ya se pueden retirar.
Vivian, thank you.
You're welcome,
Hey,
Your Honor.
Victor,
Kevin, if your mom
I
wants
don't
to
wanna-
talk to Marissa, go ahead and call, okay?
I don't want to cause myself my own problems, but you just saw Vivian. She's a very good translator if you need some help in Cass County from time to time, but she does wonderful work for us. I'm not trying to generate so much business for you, Vivian. I can't get you, but this is the Cass County prosecutor who just saw you in action, as well as a Van Buren County prosecutor. All right,
Judge,
Vivian, thank you.
Judge, I was going to say, I appreciate it. The only thing I would mention to her is más despacio, por favor.
No problem.
All right, thank you, Vivian. I'll release you. All right, now we've got a bunch of people on hold here, and I'm going to bring all of them in. Thank you all for waiting. A note to self, put interpreter cases last. Good afternoon, Ms. Geiger.
Afternoon, Your Honor.
All right, we've got Lance Shull back with us. We've got Stephanie Castleman, who got out of the driver's seat into the passenger seat.
I'm with my grandmother right now.
All right. We've got Paul Gibson. TJ, Miss Castleman called after we tried to call her and said, I think I'm supposed to be in court. I asked her to call back in. There are two files, 202781 and 202801. The plea offer was 1 DWLS, 1 no proof of insurance, and 1 plate violation. You didn't seem very enthusiastic about that. What do you wish to do?
Set it for trial.
All right. Set both cases for a jury trial. Ms. Castleman, will you put your cigarette out, please? We're in a court proceeding. I tried to call you on the phone. Does that phone work?
No, I had a fire recently that was, everything was in it.
From smoking?
No.
Oh. Well, call Mr. Reed and give him a proper telephone number.
Okay.
All right. Deborah, who's your witness on the first driving suspended, Kevin Brooks?
Yes, Kevin Brooks and then Brandon Dahl, the other one.
All right, Ms. Castleman, we're going to set both of these cases for a jury trial, which is cumbersome, but you need to stay in contact with your attorney. I am uncomfortable with the fact you were sitting in the driver's seat, which means I think you're just used to being in the driver's seat. Stop driving.
Oh, I
sort this out. Okay.
Right. My car is broke down at the moment. That's why I was sitting there. And plus,
okay.
I'm not staying at my house anymore. I recently sold that.
All right, well, give your correct address to Mr. Reed also, okay?
Okay.
It'll be set for a jury trial sometime in the future.
Okay.
All right, and try to come in on time. It's disruptive when you're late, but you did come in, so that's good. So we'll get a proper phone number, proper address. We'll know how to be in contact with you, okay?
All right.
You're good to go.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we've got two special prosecutors here. I apologize to everyone. We got severely backed up with the last case, which had immigration issues and bond issues and interpreter issues. And but Mr. Fitz is here on Deontay Williams. Mr. Williams was connected, and then we lost him. Mr. Gibson, what's the status in that case?
No. Well, he's locked out right now.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
It's not Fiona Apple, it's Nova Lenker. We'll be with you here in just a moment.
Okay.
Anyway, Mr. Gibson's in virtual limbo. He's probably talking to his client, so we'll set that aside for a minute. Ms. Geiger, let's address your case, which is Joshua Wilkins. Mr. Wilkins is here. Mr. Reed is here. And we have issues in that case. In file 202135, Mr. Wilkins is charged with child abuse in the 4th degree. Mr. Timothy Reed, I think, was retained in this case and is representing the defendant in that matter. It happened allegedly way back in April of 2020. The defendant didn't get charged with it, or Paul,
That's awesome.
you're screen sharing, Paul. Will you get out of there? I don't want to see your morning jacket up there. All right, just sit tight. All right. Anyway, it took quite some time for Mr. Wilkins to get picked up on it. He's a local guy. He lives out at Long Lake. He's a volunteer fireman. He's employed locally, and so I allowed him to be in the same home while this matter was pending. To further complicate things, a special prosecutor from Branch County, Ms. Nora Geiger, has been appointed, and bless her heart, she's inherited all the St. Joe County cases for Branch County. Mr. Fitz is handling them from Cass. At any rate, I have a new charge alleging a new child abuse 4th degree. It's alleged that on or about February 25th, that Joshua Wilkins did knowingly or intentionally commit the following act: that posed an unreasonable risk of harm to a child by pushing a child off a chair. This resulted in damage to property or injury to an individual. And it's punishable by up to a year in jail and a fine of up to 5 years up to 5 years probation. So he got charged with the same offense while he's on bond for the same offense, which is always troubling. Mr. Reed didn't have any knowledge of this new charge. Maybe he heard it was percolating in the background. So I'm arraigning you on that charge at this time, Mr. Wilkins. Mr. Reed, I'm assuming he's going to plead not guilty to the new charge?
That's what I'd advise him at this point. We've not talked about it yet. So at this point, I guess I'd advise him. I'll have to talk to him about whether I'll be appearing on that case or not.
Yeah, and you're not even retained on that, but any attorney worth a salt would invite their client to plead not guilty at this point. Mr. Wilkins, that's my recommendation.
Yes, sir, not guilty.
All right. Ms. Geiger, how do you wish to proceed?
I would ask at this point that we complete his arraignment and then set both of these cases off for a pretrial, so that way Mr. Reed is able to talk to his client about the new case, find out whether he's going to be retained in that new case. I can make sure that we get all the reports and everything to Mr. Reed if he is retained. I know or at least I believe he was aware of the new incident because him and I have talked about it, but I had just issued charges last week because I just received the complaint into my office. And when I knew we had this pretrial today, I asked the district court staff just to set it for an arraignment so we could put these cases together.
A couple of problems. At this point, he hasn't been fingerprinted and formally processed, and I have to set a bond. And I let him stay in the house. Now he's charged with child abuse while he's on bond for child abuse. What do you want me to do regarding that?
At this point, I understood when he was arraigned on the other charge, given the length of time between the incident date and when I actually received it to charge it last year. The last that I knew in talking with the DHS worker over in St. Joe County is that the children had been safety planned out of the home. I don't know, Your Honor, if they are still out of the home, but I would ask at this point a no contact order with the child. It's the same named child in both incidents.
Mr. Wilkins, are your children out of the home?
No, sir.
Well, either they're going to have to move or you are.
Excuse me, children or child?
Child. Is this child, we'll call him initials BM, is he still there?
That That's that's his father. It's
Oh, wait a
KM.
minute. Well, let me see. The child, KM?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So he didn't go back to stay with his dad?
I don't think we should be going down this road. There's so
Well,
much
all right. I'm
more
just
time.
trying to figure out, well, then I'm going to
I
put
can make a
Mr.
representation to the court that yes, there was a plan in place. The children did not feel comfortable. My understanding from talking to both the CPS ongoing worker and some other people that the children did not want to be where they were at and preferred they wanted to come home. And so I know that there is a CPS worker, actually had a lengthy conversation with her the other day about everything that was going on. So that there's an ongoing caseworker involved in the case. I can tell the court that. For what that's worth, I don't know exactly what ongoing is going to mean. That varies from case to case. So that has been kind of where things are at this point. So essentially, I think you'd probably be moving the child out of the house at this time because Mr. Wilkins and his wife have two other children that are between the two of them, and then there's another stepchild that's involved. So the court will be essentially expelling the child from the home.
Well, that's his choice.
Well, you're expelling the children away from their father. All their children away from their father.
One of the problems is I don't know very much about it other than the complaint. There's no affidavit, there's no bond information report, there's just a complaint. But on its face, he got charged with child abuse in the 4th degree while he's on bond for child abuse in the 4th degree on the same child. And so I'm going to look pretty foolish if something terrible happens to this kid. And so I don't know how to accomplish it, but I'm going to set bond at $250 PR. He's not a flight risk.
I would have a suggestion, Your Honor, as to maybe a way to deal with the contact with the child, that he's not to have unsupervised or alone contact without another adult in the presence, so he's not alone. Otherwise, you are expelling a father from 3 other kids if you force him out of the house or you're expelling the kid out of the house. Either way, it's going to end up with
Well,
kids.
I just had that struggle with the Mexican gentleman who's out of his house and his wife's there with 3 kids. Ms. Geiger, what's your position?
The only issue I have with the no unsupervised contact is that both of these incidents occurred with mom in the home, mom present in the home. And based on my contact with the mother, she is not, I would say, the most cooperative with my office in regards to this case. While I can understand the difficult position she's in, I have concerns about her ability to protect her child, specifically this child, from defendant.
How old is this child?
13.
He's 13 years old.
Do you want no contact with all the children or just that child?
Just the named victim. I have not received any information regarding any type of similar behavior with his 2 biological children and then the other child that's in the home.
I think we lost volume.
Yeah, I can't hear nothing.
Judge, we can't hear you, Judge.
I can't hear him either.
Should I make an unmute sign?
It's because his Polycom goes off after that 8 hours. So he's gonna, not until he looks at the screen and sees us all waving our hands at him. Everybody wave. I can read.
You can see the look in his eyes.
I have to remember all that stuff he just said.
I know.
So we get around 4 o'clock every day. Turns it on too early. Is it a cough or a sneeze?
It's a
Bless
sneeze.
you.
Easy.
Glad your germs are 2 cities away.
Right.
I get 9 hours. Debbie makes me start before 8. And so I would have logged on about 10 to 8 and it kicked me off at 10 to 4. And so that tells you how long of a day it's been. I'm sorry, TJ, I was starting to ask, we talked about the May 13th. I don't know if that's too soon.
I think that's too soon because I'm going to talk to Mr. Wilkins after this hearing. We got some things to discuss. I know, but I would like to state for the record, Ms. Geiger is correct. She did advise me of the potential complaint coming forward, and I believe it was even disclosed at the last pretrial, and that's why it was kind of kicked out. So I think it all kind of happened quick, and I know that she had to wait for it to get to St. Joseph County. They had to then send it to the Attorney General, and she had requested that it go to her. So kind of triangulating around the state to get to where we're at today. So I do appreciate the fact that she's agreed to take this case to keep it under one roof, and she did disclose to me that this would potentially be coming, but at the time she had no idea when.
We'll set both cases 202135.
Yes, sir.
And the second case, the new case, 21843 for May 27th at 1:30 and 1:45.
Perfect.
There's a no contact provision and a $250 PR bond at some point he's going to have to sign. Mr. Wilkins, stay in contact with your attorney, Mr. Reed, and
what is the new
there's
case
a lot
number,
going
Your Honor?
on here.
Can
What?
you give me the new case number one more time?
21843 SM.
Thank you very much. All right, Josh, I'll give you a call.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Nora, I think that finishes your business with us.
It does for today, Your Honor.
Thank you,
All
Nora.
right, yes, you got more coming. Probably so does Victor. All right, Nora, I'll remove you from the session.
Oh.
All right, TJ, we did take care of Ms. Castleman.
Judge, I will say, since Victor is here, I would point out, if either of the two of you need the name and number of a good barber, there is one across the street from my office, and it is a good shop. Sorry, Victor.
Thank you for that.
You should probably give your wife some of that business since that's what she does.
She does stay busy, so.
TJ, I'm slightly offended because I just got it cut this morning.
Oh.
Victor, I've never seen your hair as long as it is right now. It's always pretty tight.
All
Back
right,
to high school,
well,
you might find something.
We're struggling away here. We'll keep going. Now, I did ask Mandy Allen to call in when I talked to her this morning, and she has not. So that's a disappointment. But Mr. Funk, what case are you here on? Mr. Funk?
Sorry about that, Your Honor. I am an assistant prosecutor in Cass County alongside Attorney Fitz for
Okay.
the special prosecution matter.
All right. Okay, thank you. Mr. Williams, are you back with us?
Yes, sir, I am.
All right. I wish we had video, but we're going to struggle through here. We set that file aside. We tried to call it, but Mr. Gibson was off screen. I think he was talking to you, and I'll figure out where I put it. Here it is. This is file 201141, People versus Deontay Williams. It charges domestic violence, child abuse in the 4th degree, assault and battery, 2 counts. The most serious charge is the child abuse count. We have special prosecution from Cass County in the person of Cass County Prosecutor Victor Fitz and Assistant Brian Funk. The defendant is represented by Mr. Paul Gibson. I'll start with you, Mr. Gibson. Where are we here?
Your Honor, my understanding is that we have not been able to work anything out, and the defendant is asking for a trial. And he's not, he's upset that because of the delay, he has it part of the bond. He's not allowed to see his child, who's approximately a year old, Jupiter Rose Williams. So he's asking that the bond be amended so he could see his daughter, Jupiter Rose Williams.
All right. First of all, let's talk about is there any plea offer, Mr. Fitz?
Yes, Your Honor, and I don't know if the court wants me to disclose what it is. I'm happy to do so if that's the practice of the court.
Yeah, go ahead.
We did offer, in review of the case, Your Honor, when we received it, it appears to us that there's a viable charge of home invasion in the third degree in this case. But in light of trying to work in this pandemic system or time of life and so forth, we've offered 2 domestic violence first offense charges, one for the mother and one for the child, and in exchange for dismissal of the other counts, as well as an agreement not to bring the home invasion third charge. It sounds, and we have had very cooperative discussions with Mr. Gibson about that, but as indicated, it appears that he's not going to take it. My suggestion, Your Honor, is that, and I don't know, I want to respect the local practice, but my intent would be to dismiss this charge and reauthorize with the felony charge along with the attendant other charges. I'm certainly willing to amend this count and keep this file as is, but whatever is the...
Well, if you amend it, we would set it for a preliminary examination rather than dismiss and recharge.
And that's fine with us, Your Honor, to do it in that fashion, but that is fully our intention. I'd be glad to give Mr. Gibson until next Friday to try to, or really until the prelim date to try to get his client to take it. But I guess it's thinking out loud here a little bit, Your Honor. If he wants to take the offer, which we think is very reasonable, he's got until next Friday to do it if the court will allow that. If not, from that point, we will be pursuing the felony charges.
Mr. Gibson, did you have that discussion with Mr. Williams?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
All right. Well, the plaintiff has leave immediately. We'll have to wait till next Friday to file amended felony complaint charging home invasion third degree. What that means, Mr. Williams, is we're going to get a new charge. I'm going to arraign you on it, and it's going to be set for a pre-exam conference and a preliminary examination on a felony charge. In which case, if it's bound over to circuit court, the whole package would go to circuit court. You don't like the no contact provision now, you're really not going to like it, because it's going to be months before there can be a circuit court resolution. Mr. Fitz indicated he would leave that misdemeanor plea offer open until the time of the pre-exam conference, but he's going to call your bluff and he's going to charge you with a felony.
That's insane to me. That's insane to me.
Well, I'm not advocating the position one way or the other. I'm just telling you what they're intending to do. I would ask that file by next Friday. That would be...
Very good, Your Honor. We will do that.
May 7th. Now, what that means is I'm going to give you a new notice, and we're going to have a pre-exam conference, but Mr. Gibson didn't file a motion for a bond to be heard. I haven't heard from the complainant. You have a felony charge pending. I'm not going to address the no contact issue at this time. All right. After the felony is charged, we'll do an arraignment and set a pre-exam.
Your Honor, if I file a motion on the bond, could it be heard at the pre-exam conference?
Yes, that would be appropriate.
Okay.
All right. Anything else we need to do on this?
Oh, Your Honor.
Mr. Williams, are you still with your dad out on Boone Road? Mr. Williams?
Yes, I am still on Boone Road. Hello?
Yes, all right.
Hello?
Yes, you're good to go. I will give you the next court date.
So just for my understanding, due to the they're trying to add a felony charge. Is that what's going on here?
Yeah, well, what you're going to need to do next time is come here to the courthouse. I can't see you. You've got a phone connection only, and it's very poor. And
yeah, Boone Road's very country.
Yeah, so you're going to need to come here. You're going to need to have a real live felony hearing where there's going to be testimony taken, and I can see your face and you can see the witnesses. So if we have a place for you at the courthouse where we can take your testimony. But essentially, the prosecutor offered 2 misdemeanors, dismiss everything else. That's not acceptable to you, so he's going to charge a felony charge. And I'm not going to dismiss it and have you get arrested all over again. I'm simply going to amend it and start on the felony path. So there's a lot to digest there. You need to discuss that further with your attorney. I'll give you the next court date is when they file the paperwork. All right, stay in contact with Mr. Gibson. Mr. Gibson, is that your only case for today?
I do, well, as long, you said Mandy Allen didn't call in, or?
No, I asked her to. I sent you that email asking her. I called her and woke her up and said, you missed your court date. Please call in at 3 o'clock. It's now 4 o'clock. And I'm not going to call her or wake her up again because I got too many fish frying. But anyway, Mr. Fitz, always nice to see you. Mr. Funk, thank you for your help. I'll see you when I get assigned to Cass County, but they apparently take care of all their own business over there. All right, you've been over here a lot more than I've been over there. So I'll see you at some point.
You bet. Thank you, Your Honor. Always a pleasure.
Thank you. Mr. Funk, likewise. All right, now we're back to our own lawyers. Paul, she isn't here. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it. She's got so many cases pending, she's got confusion, but she did not call back in, so you're off the hook.
Okay, thank you.
All right, now we got a lot to do. We've still got Chase Hardy and Paul Gibson in the jail, and we've got Lance Shaw, Nova Lenker here, so let's take care of them first. Lance Shaw is Lori Hines. John's got to stay with me for a bit, so let's take that. Mr. Shaw, good afternoon. Can you see me and hear me? Could you unmute your mic?
Sorry.
All right, thank you. You've been waiting patiently. You got to see a bunch of other court proceedings just though you were sitting here. This is a charge of domestic assault, second offense, and assault and battery. Lori Hines is representing the defendant, and Ms. Deborah Davis, Esquire, is here on behalf of the prosecutor's office. Ms. Davis, what's the circumstance here?
The offer from Mr. Shaw is to plead to 1 count of DV first. And I believe the original offer was DV first and an assault and battery. Lori, was that what was emailed to you?
First offense.
The original the first offer was DV first and assault and battery. Casey updated the offer to a DV first by email yesterday.
Okay, so I will stand by that offer.
All right, you discussed that with Mr. Shaw?
He has not called my office, so, and I don't know what he wants to do, so.
I told you in the beginning, I'm not taking plea.
All right, so you don't wish
do
to
anything. So.
All right,
Nope.
well, that's pretty straightforward. All right, who are your witnesses, Deborah?
We have Bruce Miller, Stacy Clark, a minor child, last name Clark, and Max Kuhn from the police department. There also may be the medical, the life care ambulance.
Can I say something?
Just
in
a
this
minute.
packet that I got.
Just a minute. All right, let's speak slowly. Make sure you don't step on a landmine here. Lance, I've known you since you were in middle school. What do you want to tell me?
Well, in this packet that I got from my attorney, there is a bunch of mess ups in it.
All right, that's something for you to share with her.
I tried talking to her, and my attorney really doesn't seem to want to even take my case. So,
well, she says you don't contact her. Is your number still 8647?
no, that phone's been disconnected. It's 273-8238. It's my parents' house.
Well, Mr. Shaw, if he was interested in his case, he would call me and talk to me about how he wanted to handle it. So I have not heard from him.
All right, well, we're going to set a jury trial, and you can share all that information with her. If you're dissatisfied, I guess you can retain an attorney, but she had tried to call you at a number that doesn't work. All right, we're going to set jury trial. You did do a deferral way back years ago.
15 years ago. To be honest with you.
Well, I remember. I got a long memory, but all right. At this point, we're going to set it for a jury trial. There's still room for other discussion, I guess, but you need to share all your concerns about that report with your lawyer, not here on the record, privately with her. And if she had indicated she hadn't been able to get a hold of you, and now we know why. So don't blame
I
her.
gave her my parents' phone number along with my cell phone number.
All right.
He has the duty to contact me as far as I'm concerned. So they have to work too at this matter. So I'd be happy to talk to him about all the discrepancies in the police report. I have an office in Centerville. He can come and meet with me then.
You just got my parents' phone number, so.
But see, it's not, they're appointed by the court, but they're not, you gotta meet them halfway. You don't just wait around the lawyers call their client and say, hey, what do you want to do? So call her, make an appointment to discuss all this with her, and we'll set it for further proceedings. All right, you're good to go.
Thanks, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. It's in that big jury trial pile that Debbie's gonna do all these one by one. Ms. Lenker, thank you for waiting. Your lawyer, Mr. John Bush, is here with us. You're charged with domestic violence. There's an allegation that you assaulted someone named Maxwell Boughton. Deborah, what's the status here?
Your Honor, the offer was made that she could either do a DV first with a deferral or plead to a disturbing the peace.
Well, let's talk about that, Ms. Lenker. Okay. DV first with a deferral means you would plead to domestic violence. I'd put you in a women's anger management domestic violence program. If you successfully completed the program, the charge would be taken off your record. The other option is to plead to disturbing the peace, which is, was there a quarrel or fight or disturbance in a public place? I would give you a fine and some time to pay the fine, and the case would be over. You would also still have a right to have a trial on this. John, have you had a chance to discuss that with her?
We've been playing phone tag today. Originally, the offer was the deferral. She had concerns. She has some mental health issues, and she wasn't real confident that she was going to do well in counseling. I made the counter offer to Casey, I believe, yesterday or on Tuesday about disturbing the peace as an option, which might fit Miss Linker's lifestyle and her psychological situation a little better.
Ms. Linker, what's your response to the offer to dismiss the domestic violence for a plea to disturbing the peace?
Well, how much would the fine be?
Well, let's add it up. It's a $75 fine, $75 crime victims' rights fee, and a $50 state minimum fee. That's $200, plus the attorney fee of $150. So the total would be $350. And I'd give you some time to pay it.
Yeah. I'm not sure.
All right. Do you want to talk to your lawyer?
Yeah, if I could.
All right, John, I'm going to put you in a breakout room. In the meantime, I'm going to dial up Mr. Harris and Mr. Hardy.
Marissa had said Kobe Harris was on today. Is that?
Yes.
Is Chase Hardy also?
Yes.
Oh.
That's a Three River City case. That's not.
Okay, I was going to say I didn't have that one, but Kobe Harris wasn't on my list either.
Deputy Mooney, how may I help you? Hello, Deputy Mooney, Judge Middleton. Sorry to bug you so late in the day, but Debbie Davis would like to see Kobe Harris and Chase Hardy down at the Polycom room.
Kobe Harris and Hardy?
Yes.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, bye.
Bye. I'm a little disappointed that Mandy Allen didn't dial back in.
Maybe she fell asleep.
Well, maybe. She is struggling, but I thought I made it fairly painless. Chase Hardy had pled to the drinking driving charge without counsel, and then he got picked up on everything else, and has all those other big problems. He's been in jail for 52 days. Mr. Barnes's position is just sentencing. He already entered a plea. Mr. Harris is another story. All right.
Mr. Hardy fled upstairs to all of his stuff, so if that helps Mr. Barnes or you figure out what you want to do.
He's looking at, that took most of the afternoon, he's looking at minimum sentence of probably 4 to 5 years. We're thinking on his sentence.
Well, have you had a chance to discuss this with Ms. Linker?
Yes, she's going to do the disturbing the peace.
I think that sounds like a pretty good way to resolve this. Ms. Linker, I don't know you. I'm Judge Middleton. I've been here for a while, since 1980. And the domestic violence charge would be dismissed for a plea to disturbing the peace. As I told you, disturbing the peace doesn't matter who was right or wrong or who started it. Was there a quarrel, argument, or disturbance in a public place? Do you understand?
Yeah.
And are you willing to plead to that charge?
Yeah.
Other than what was said here and what I told you, did anyone promise you anything to get you to plead to this charge?
No.
Or threaten you?
No.
Do you understand that if you plead to this charge, you'll be giving up your right to have a trial in front of a judge or jury? Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
If there was a trial, you'd have the right to be represented by an attorney. If you didn't have an attorney, the county could appoint one for you at county expense. You would also have a right to take the witness stand and testify on your own behalf. But you don't have to, because you have a right not to testify, and if you did not wish to testify, the judge or jury cannot hold your silence against you. And finally, you have the right to be presumed innocent if and until the state was able to prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
Tell me what happened. What was this deal with Maxwell Boughton?
Oh, well, I went home, well, to the apartment to get my bag because I stayed there the night before. And he was yelling at me, calling me names, and I was yelling back, and I left. And he followed me out the apartment and was yelling at me, calling me a whore, telling me to hit him. And so what happened, and I left.
All right. Did you hit him?
Yes, I did.
Okay. How long were you in jail before you posted the bond?
A day.
That's what I thought. 1 day jail credit, 1 day. There's a $75 fine, $75 crime victims' rights fee, and a $50 state minimum fee, and a $150 attorney fee. Just like I told you, that's $350. Your bond was a PR bond, so I don't have any money to apply. Are you working someplace?
Yes, I am.
All right. How long will it take you to pay that $350? If I give you till the end of July, will you be able to pay it by then?
Yeah.
All right.
That's plenty of time.
21. All right, Nova, this doesn't show as an assaultive crime. It doesn't affect any firearm rights, but it resolves the case and brings closure to it.
Good luck,
Now,
Nova.
how often do you see your brother Roger?
Not very. He's not doing too hot.
Well, I heard he was in Goshen. There's a warrant out for his arrest. So if you see him, tell him to get his butt in here. There's a bench warrant out for failing to appear for a proceeding. So if he's struggling, that explains why he isn't here. But tell him he needs to get in here, all right?
I will.
Are you still at the Lakeview Avenue address?
No, I'm not.
John, do you have her address?
I believe she has an address on Airline Road.
Yes.
Is that correct? All right,
Yes.
John, would you email me that? All right, Nova, you're free to go. Thank you.
Thank you.
Don't come back, okay?
I'm okay.
Okay. Bye.
Unless you bring your brother with you.
And bring your brother in here. Good afternoon, Mr. Harris. Thank you for waiting. We've had a busy day, and we're not quite done yet. We've met. I'm Judge Middleton, and you're Kobe James Harris. John tells me that, well, that isn't the case, that this is a domestic violence second offense case. There are a number of other charges pending in circuit court. Was there some sort of a global offer or something?
I believe there's going to be one pending. Mr. Harris and I actually had a three-way conversation with Mr. Marvin. As a result of that, he waived his preliminary examination on the witness intimidation files. I see just in the last day or two, apparently there was a breakdown of the attorney-client relationship, and I now represent him in the assault great bodily harm files, which I have not had an opportunity to review or discuss.
Yeah, Mr.
with
Harris was dissatisfied with his attorney and told me he wanted to fire him, and we never had another hearing. So, Mr. Harris, we've given you a new attorney. Mr. Bush will be looking out for your interests. He apparently had a good discussion. My suggestion at this point is that we simply adjourn this a while. This was the underlying case that, well, I'm not sure what this was, that preceded the other messy case. So how about if we set this for a attorney pretrial for June 4th?
That's fine, Judge.
John, do you have a status conference date coming up for Mr. Harris?
No, and I'm new to the assault great bodily harm literally in the last like 48 hours, I think.
That case needs to be accelerated. Now let's talk about this case. Defendant has been in custody for more than 28 days on this case. I'm going to amend the bond to a $500 PR bond, which is sort of moot in light of the other charges where I canceled his bond, but I have to set a PR bond because he's been in custody for more than 28 days. Mr. Harris, you seem quite calm today, and that's a good thing. You've been in jail for a while. Get your head on straight and think more clearly. Mr. Bush will be contacting you regarding your original case, the intimidation of witness case, and this case. So you got the same lawyer on all cases. That's helpful.
Which, to the best of my knowledge, that is everything.
To my knowledge, it is. So we're gonna bump this out to June 4th and see where we are with all these matters. The problem with that, Deborah, is it means somebody's got to get on the stick and set a status conference in those. If it goes in the normal course of events, that status conference might not be till August or something.
We've discussed a global offer among us prosecutors, so I expect that we'll have something to Mr. Bush to discuss with his client, even if there's not a status conference set. We do have a limited time frame with the cancellation of bond, so we will continue working on that.
Once upon a time, we didn't have a status conference. We just talked about the cases, but that had sort of become the thing that nobody would do anything until the status conference. Mr. Marvin's got a better view of things, and he doesn't wait for the status conference. So, all right, Mr. Harris, your lawyer is going to be in contact with you. The next hearing in this matter is June 4th at 9 o'clock. All right, you're good to go. Thank you.
Thank you, Kobe. I'll be giving you a text.
Thank you, Roger.
Remember the three
All right, thank you, Bush.
3 C's: cool, calm, and collected, okay?
Yeah. Thank you. All right. I enjoy that version of Kobe Harris more than the last one I saw, where he got so mad in that very room, but I think he's doing much better. Good afternoon, Mr. Hardy. I understand you've had a very busy day. This is Judge Middleton. This is file 202638. It is a Three Rivers ordinance case. You pled guilty to driving impaired by a controlled substance, and we were trying to get this accomplished. You were staying at that apple farm up in Ottawa County, and I wanted you to come back here and turn yourself in so I could do the sentence. And then everything went haywire after that. I appointed Mr. Bush on everything, and he's worked very hard this afternoon. Mr. Barnes, the Three Rivers City Attorney, simply wishes the court would proceed with sentencing in this matter and bring closure to it. My intention, Mr. Hardy and Mr. Bush, is to simply give him 52 days jail, credit 52 days. Mr. Hardy was quite straightforward with me at the time of this plea. He was very disoriented at the time of this driving. It was near Christmas time. It was back by where the decorations were for the Riverside Church. They were afraid maybe something else was going on, but Chase was very disoriented by drugs, and he was pretty upfront about it. I asked him a couple of times if he wished to waive his right to counsel, and he did. Chase, I will represent to you that if we proceed with the sentencing today, I'm going to give you 52 days in jail, credit 52 days. This will go on your driving record, and it may be something that could add points to your felony sentencing scoring. What's your thought regarding that?
Guilty.
All right, you already did that, so you want me to just go ahead and do the sentence?
Yeah.
Do you want to talk to Mr. Bush about it? I'm gonna give you 52 days credit, 52 days, and I'm gonna waive the fines. So this case will be done, so you can deal with your circuit court cases. But it could affect your guideline scoring.
Yeah, can I talk to Bush for a minute?
Yes, certainly.
Thank you.
All right, I think, John, you guys should both be able to go into room 1. But nobody's going.
Well, maybe I can just talk to him. I'm
Well,
going to
I'd like to accomplish this now if we can. If we can't,
I think it could affect his guidelines, but I would just ask that we set the sentencing after his circuit court sentencing.
all right, well, that's a possibility also. Do we have a certain court sentencing date?
Yes.
The 28th of next month.
All right. Okay, that's a good solution. Set for sentence for, what's the date, Chase?
The 28th of March, I believe, is 8th of next month.
I believe May.
May, yeah, May.
What time
May
is
of 28th. 1 p.m.
All right, I'm gonna set this for sentencing for June 1. That's a good, elegant solution, John, thank you. It's for June 1 at
That's assuming DOC doesn't pick him up over that weekend or whatever.
I wouldn't think so. It's Memorial Day weekend, and I won't think he'd get transferred that soon.
Okay, all right.
Chase, how are you doing?
I'm doing better, Your Honor.
Well, you've been in jail for 52 days, but you got a lot of weight hanging on your shoulders right now. I'll see you after Judge Stutzman does on June 1st at 9 o'clock and do the sentence in this matter.
Thank you, Judge.
Okay? All right.
Thank you, Your Honor. Have a good day.
All right, thank you. All right.
That covers me. Thanks, Judge.
I thank you. All right, Debbie, let's just do a recap to make sure we didn't miss anything.
It was a long day.
It was a long day. We started at 10 to 8. I think we finished everything except Mandy Allen.
And she was a carryover from this morning, right?
Well, she didn't show up for this. She missed the last pretrial, which was last week.
Okay.
And so she had something this morning. It was a show cause for not showing up for the last pretrial. So Paul was set to be here. So I said, just come back this afternoon and we'll do the last pretrial. So she's struggling so much she couldn't even do that. I'm just going to issue a bench warrant for her. Oops, that's not done yet. All right, I think that finishes everything. I got a lot of paperwork to get set up here. Anything else we need to deal with?
I don't think so. Just a soccer game tonight. I think the sun is out now. It looks like there's sun behind me, so fingers crossed.
Well, I spent all day in this little room with no windows in it. I have a gallery that seats about 80 with 0 people in it. Although I did have that lady in there the other day on that prelim you had.
Yeah, that was the grandma that is like her mom.
All right, thank you.
For letting her be in.
Tomorrow's landlord tenant day. I guess you got your own stuff to deal with tomorrow. All right.
I will have plenty. But thank you. Have a good night.
All right, bye.
Yeah.
All right, that ends a very busy day. And there's a lot of processing to do here. we'll end our live feed. We'll be back in the morning at 9 o'clock with a full day of landlord-tenant matters.